to Nightlife 24/7.
Are you ready to talk about sex?
No, let's talk about relationships.
Or is it time to talk about dating taboos?
It's on your mind.
So let's talk about it
On Nightlife 24/7.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Nightlight 24/7. As always, I am your boy Mac. And again, you know what, guys? I'm going to go ahead and put it out there. For most of you who don't know, I am doing this episode with, and I can officially say it now, my partner was Miss Nikki Sadiq. What's up?
Hi, everyone.
Yeah. And they're back. We got them. They didn't get to leave far. They didn't go far. We didn't let them get out of our hair. Miss Lycania, how you doing?
Welcome back. It's been a long time since I last saw you.
Yes. You know, I want to continue that conversation we started in the beginning. You have so much information that I'm starting to wonder if I should just call you Webster. You know, really, I'm not serious. Or Wikipedia. AKA Wikipedia, because you have a lot of information. But the good thing about your information versus Wikipedia, yours can all be confirmed. Whereas Wikipedia, anybody can say whatever they want to say, add whatever they want to add, and they think that makes it right. Yeah, you are not. You are definitely not that. So I want to continue the conversation where we last spoke. We were talking about HRT and the changes and your confidence and sexuality, but I want to learn a little bit more of how all that transcends or moves into the sexual realm for you. Are there certain things that you look for? Are there certain boys or girls that you're looking for at a certain time? Or are there rules and regs or policies, unwritten rules that we don't know about that circulate within your realm or your world that makes things a lot more fun or safer? And what is it for you that makes you happy on a sexual level that you can express to your partner and they totally understand? So I know I put a lot out there, but hey, we got a long show. We might as well fill it up. So go right ahead.
All right. So again, guys, I'm Lycania, and I am definitely very sexual. Like I said on the other show, I definitely would see myself as sexually confident. You asked about like how to navigate sex with a trans person.
Yes.
You have to be very cognizant of the fact that I'm speaking only from my point of view. Yes. So let's all be aware of that.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to say some shit that's got nothing to do with 99.9% of the other trans people out there. But also, like, here's some general rules. Like, keep in mind, these are general rules. Be very aware of the basics. Name, pronouns, beware of that. Like, so if you dead name somebody in an intimate scene, that's done. Like, you're not getting anywhere after that. It's over. Like, you don't want to be like using the wrong pronoun in bed. That's going to kill the mood. Like, that's really simple stuff. You got to get that right. All right. You need to not make assumptions about which body parts are available and which body parts aren't. So as you're negotiating consent, make sure that you're negotiating where you can and can't touch. Some trans people are going to be okay with you touching their genitals. Some aren't. Right? And then it's okay to ask people. I mean, just like you ask someone, what's your pronouns? Hey, like, what do you call your parts? So what's your name for your genitals? Like, do you call it a vagina? Do you call it a front hole? Do you have a name for it? Like, do you call it a penis? Is it your lady penis? Is it your sheenus? Is it your giant? Is it your clitoris gigantus? Like what?
Okay.
What what do you call it? Find out from them, and then be very aware of what names you're using. Right.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm like 99.9% of trans people. Like I don't. That stuff isn't of what's concerning to me.
Right? Okay.
Right. But that is what's going to concern a lot of trans folks.
So is this a conversation because a lot of people fall into bed before they have these conversations? So is this a conversation that needs to happen before, which is what I'm assuming? And if so, how do you breach that conversation?
It's going to be difficult. You're going to have to pull out all the cards you have on how to navigate socially awkward moments.
All those middle school years pay off.
Yeah,
because there's so many things here at play, because if that trans person's super into it too, like the last thing they want to do is have their transness ruin the mood on their part.
Right.
Or your part. And so they're afraid that it might make you uncomfortable. They're afraid of whatever might make them uncomfortable about their own bodies. And so you have to just work to read between the lines, read all the body language, and with kid gloves, move through it and mirror what they're saying. Okay. If they're saying they don't fucking care, then they don't fucking care.
Got it.
If they're saying they do care, then you need to pay really close attention to that. Because the last thing I want to do is have a 10-minute discussion about the name for my dick before having sex. I'm like, I want to have sex now, like not 10 minutes from now. So like I'm going to give you signals right off the bat that said like this conversation is really not relevant for me, right?
Okay.
Let's do this. We can talk afterwards.
Yeah. But others are going to quite clearly indicate to you that, hey, yeah, we need to talk about what you can and can't touch.
Okay.
And it's like anything else. You got to put your skills of human interaction to bear. And you need to be on your A game.
Got it.
And I wish there was one answer.
No, I know there's
but,
not one.
I know there's not.
It's such a spectrum.
But it's in the end, it really is just like name and pronouns. Follow their lead.
Now, I want to ask this because I've always wondered about this. I remember we spoke once before about it. In the swinger world, there's not many trans, period, or even allowed in certain swinger events. But are there sexual events for trans? When
you're trans, there's a real tendency for non-trans folk, particularly straight non-trans folk, to fetishize you.
Oh, wow.
And so there may be spaces that allow for that, but a lot of times trans people themselves are not comfortable with that space because they don't want to be seen as a fetish. So, like, yeah, as a trans person, going to a swingers club is not comfortable. Even a swingers club that throws a trans-friendly party, but the door still says pussy on one door and dick on the other. Am I supposed to feel welcome there? Or am I just here to be your entertainment?
Right. And then you don't know if the person is actually interested in you or interested because of what they perceive.
Right. Finding space that is truly sexually positive and open to trans people is a tricky business. It really is. And such spaces, besides private home and a private hotel room and things that are orchestrated within tight-knit groups within the community, they don't exist. Like, or if they do, they're very nichey. there might be a party thrown for trans people, say at the gay bar. I've been to one time. I was the most gender normative person there. I'm like, well, I may have a very fucked up gender, but like I generally present myself very much as either a tomboy or a femboy. Like, but I'm not. I have crazy colored hair. I don't wear androgynous clothing. Like, not trying to go for an androgynous look. If I'm going for a boyish look, it's as a girl who's wearing boyish clothes, and we all know that.
Okay, well, that makes sense to me.
Right, I'm not doing the kind of androgyny thing. And then, so when that space is like, well, I'm not coming. All these other people are doing this very avant-garde, or gender queer, really screwing with the gender norms in terms of expression. I'm like, oh yeah, this is not my scene. But it does exist, and there are places like that. But like I said, it's very niche. And so if you fit into that, you fit into that. But is there a space where just the whole umbrella of trans people can go and be sexually liberated? No. We don't have a liberated space to play as ourselves, which is why I think it's very important when you have a sex-positive space that you make it open and available to trans people. I mean, this is a huge problem in the LGBT community, where the boys will throw a party and they will bar the trans men from the party. Or they'll bar the feminine men from the party. Or as a trans-identified individual who's feminine, I get barred from gay male spaces sometimes because from their point of view is, I see myself as a female. This is gay male space, so I'm not allowed. And from my point of view, it's like the girls' bathroom. I didn't choose to go into the girls' bathroom. I was forced into the girls' bathroom by cis heteronormative boys who were giving me threatening looks for my own safety. Like, I'm not here to invade your space. I'm here because it's the only space I can be safe in. That's why I'm in the girls' bathroom.
So I don't want to be here either, but
right.
I've been forced.
But it's like, I would rather have a space that was specifically designed, but it's not. So I have to make do with the spaces that are out there. So I might be in a gay male-only space, navigating it as an effeminate trans person. Just let me be. Okay. Just let me in the door and let me be. And if people want to engage with me, they can. And if they don't have to. But don't force me on the street.
For your comfort.
For your comfort. Because you know what it's like to be uncomfortable.
Right.
Right?
Yeah. See, now you made me think of another one. And I really... Do you see transgender in the BDSM realm a lot, or they don't really mesh?
I see a lot of trans... feminine people, trans females, a lot of time in BDSM events, particularly here in Atlanta.
Okay.
I see them a lot. The BDSM community has, in terms of my interaction with it, been a very open community to things that are not what you're into. But you acknowledge that the rest of the world's not into what you're into, so you understand what that's like. And so I might not be into that thing that you're doing, but I want the space for me to do my kind of play, so I'm going to let you do your kind of play. I think people in the BDSM community kind of just understand that you don't have to like everybody's kink.
You don't
have to like everybody's thing. You don't have to like everybody's expression. And trans people can take advantage of that space and use it as a place where they can be themselves. Like the Frolicon, the BDSM convention here, has an ever-growing trans presence there because it's a place that trans women are finding that they can go and they can express and they can explore themselves, and people are going to treat them as other for it.
Right. Well,
I first learned to kind of accept certain aspects of myself from participating in BDSM events, like I miss it so much, Duckstock.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Duckstock was the original, and then Midsummer was the spinoff, and hopefully next year we can do another Midsummer at least.
Midsummer was great too.
Well, I'm going to put it out there for everyone who's listening, and if you're in Atlanta, coming to Atlanta, visiting Atlanta, coming through Atlanta, you now have a place that you can be yourself. And this is my little plug for Lashimo. For those who don't know it, it is a private and intimate dungeon space where you can do and be who you are without any judgment. All right. So just think of it like this: Airbnb, but with a dungeon feel. That's the best way I can explain it to you. So it is open to everyone. So, and who knows, we may actually start doing some parties here since I have such a huge space around it and behind it as far as the yard. Yeah. So you never know. So let me ask you this: do you find more and more straight men coming at you sexually, or do you find more straight women fantasizing and coming at you and wanting to spend that time with you on a sexual level?
My sexual preferences are for men.
Okay.
I like trans men. I like cis men. I like the masculine. I like feminine boys. I like trans women. I find cis women very sexually attractive, but I tend to not have sexual interest in them.
Gotcha.
So I don't think I'm always looking for women to hit on me because I guess I'm just oblivious. I don't know if it's going on or not.
You sound about as bad as me.
I get a lot of messages from straight men,
okay,
and I tend to ignore them.
Is it more of it's their fetish, not their?
Yeah, it's a whole lot to it. So, one, they're fetishizing you, but I personally don't necessarily have a problem with being a fetish. Like, I want you to be turned on by my existence. I want my body to be sexually charged for you, and in so many ways. It's okay. Like, I'm okay with that. That's not the real thing that turns me off. It's that you're fetishizing a version of me that doesn't exist.
Okay.
Right?
Now
that's where the problem lies. Because you want me to show up in high heels and a dress and some 1890s lingerie and big hair. And I'm like, that's not me. You want me to look like something you saw on a porn somewhere.
Right.
And that's not me. And then you want me to top you, which, because of HRT, I'm really not able to do.
Okay.
And it's just like, so I can't be this thing you want me to be. So there's no point in me engaging, because in the end, you're just going to want something from me that I can't give you. So I tend to ignore the straight guys that message me.
Okay.
I like gay men who can express themselves sexually with someone whose gender is queer, someone who's trans feminine. Like, if they're gay and that doesn't challenge their sense of self as a gay person, to have sex with a person whose body is a little bit male and a little bit female, if that works for them and doesn't challenge their sense of self, I'm down for that. Yes.
Okay.
All right. If you're bisexual and me being somewhere not quite one or the other in the middle in terms of the way my body is, if that doesn't challenge your sense of self, I'm down for it. If you're pansexual, there's no need to even have that discussion. Like, by definition, that means you should be down for it if you're attracted to me as a person, right? But straight people bring a lot of straight baggage to bear.
See, that's my next question.
Straight baggage.
And I'm not straight. So you can't have straight sex with me because I'm not straight. I don't care what your gender is. You go to bed with me, I'm queer. and you're going to have queer sex with me. And if you're straight, that's probably not going to work. And I don't want to be somebody's existential crisis.
Oh, snap.
Right?
Twice. Bring it back. Well, okay. So you mentioned before, and I only came to this thought as you were speaking because you mentioned it within the last 2 minutes, that HRT also affects sex. And does that cause major stress for you in certain areas of sexual and having your sexual endeavors, or does it, you've learned now ways to maneuver around it to where it benefits you?
So let me talk about estrogen.
Okay.
So if you're trans feminine or trans woman, you're assigned male at birth, raised male, like have a penis, and you're not intersex, then the chemical used to assist with transitioning, should you go that route, is estrogen. Right? It can be taken a variety of ways, but it's not going to do much if you still have testosterone running rampant in the system. So you also have to shut the testosterone down. So you take a medication that blocks testosterone, and then you take your estrogen. Mm-hmm. And then your body then gets kind of confused and basically goes through a second puberty in layman's terms. All right. So if you're trans feminine, so on the M to F spectrum, so male to female, you're going to have, your skin's going to soften, smell's going to change, you're going to redistribute fat, you're going to get boobs, your areolas may change color, may change shape, your breast tissue is going to develop, so it's not just fat. You may even have discharge from your nipples. If you add on top of that progesterone, you probably are going to have discharge from your nipples, because your body now thinks it's pregnant, which is weird. Been through that.
Okay. So that's different.
I took progesterone, cycling it to make my body think it was having a menstrual cycle, which was fun. Did that for 9 months.
Wow.
Of tricking my body into thinking it was having a period every month. That had its own adventure. Progesterone tends to make you horny. It can drive up the libido. Of course, with all things, mileage may vary. Personal experience will vary. Testosterone blockers tend to damp down libido. Libido being your desire for sex, not necessarily your performance. Okay. Do you want it? Libido. All right. If you don't have estrogen and you have a penis, if you don't have testosterone and you have a penis, then you're going to find it difficult to get an erection, right? So you may have low libido. You may also have erectile dysfunction.
Well, I remember you saying that HRT and penises don't work well together.
Right. So there's a lot of difficulty there. So all these little different things are happening. There's also stuff that's going on in your mind.
Okay.
All right. So you now have boobs. And so boobs can play a role during sex. So that can change sex for you. But to me, it was the changes with my genitalia, with my penis, that were the most trying and also the most exciting. I have spent the vast majority of my life having this ejaculation that results in a spectacular visual show.
Okay.
with a whole tactile, viscous performance, it's all this stuff. It's great. I love that. I miss it. That doesn't happen anymore. Now what I get is just this pre-cum. That's it. There's no ejaculation. There's no squirting in the sense of a ejaculatory charge. That just doesn't happen.
So what does that mean for orgasm?
So my orgasms are different. And so I have to really, 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 really work hard and really, really try and get in the right headspace to try and have the old kind of boy orgasm. And so I'll be having sex and I'll be like, look, I feel like I could actually get there tonight. So I need for you to say, thank you, sir. Or be a good boy and come for me or whatever is going to get me into this old male headspace so I can make it happen, right? And that's when I like to finish out my play because then I go to sleep because that's what I changed my body to do for all those years. Like, come and sleep. Right?
You know that
That is
the
a
male
thing.
that's the male role.
No, that's the female thing too. Go to sleep.
Now, but
Okay.
while that is difficult for me to achieve now, and I do miss it, and it does create frustration, and it makes having penetrative sex where I'm the person doing the penetrating difficult.
Okay.
I did get this other thing, which are these like constant rolling orgasms where like once it starts, it doesn't stop. And
Yes.
and there's this out of syncness to the orgasm where I will have an orgasm, be like, I'm done. And then my body starts saying, no, you're not. And it starts like quivering. I'm like, but there's not even anyone here right now.
Yes.
And then a minute later, this pile of pre-cum lube comes out of my penis. Like, now you want to like lube up?
Love
I
that.
don't understand. Like,
Here is the female orgasm described through the trans eye. Because I could never have described it like that, but yes, that.
and then, but you know, if you come back over and you touch things, then we'll get another orgasm. Like, and so I had a 5-hour orgasm one time, which was great.
Are you freaking serious? 5
Yeah.
hours.
5 hours, yes. Thank you, girls.
Damn.
Yes.
You know who you are.
See, now you can't pick at me when I'm shaking like an hour later.
Yes,
You're
the
like,
whole
"What's
shaking thing. What is that? Like,
Is
Wow.
somebody is like, you scared me. I thought you were having a seizure.
No shit, because that's what comes to mind as a man. I'm thinking, I was like, oh, fuck, are they okay?
I
Or
would have
what?
dozed off and do that. He's like, what's wrong?
So,
Nothing. Absolutely
but
nothing.
so, here's the thing. When I first started HRT, and I was kind of in this, I don't know my own self anymore, and I had to learn who I was again.
Got you.
I was having trouble. I couldn't orgasm. I couldn't get an erection. Nothing was working, right? I felt like I used to have a Toyota pickup truck, and you could drop a building on it, and it would still get up and go, right? And now, like, I have this Ferrari, and if you at all don't get precisely where you need to be at exactly the right moment, and you miss the gear, the car's got to go into the shop for a month.
Oh, damn.
Right.
Wow.
So I could not get the car to go. Like, I had this beautiful engine and it just wouldn't do shit because I didn't know how to change the gears in my Ferrari because I was used to being able to do whatever I wanted and the Toyota would just get up and go. So a therapist at the time had suggested that I guess this is not uncommon for women to like go into the bathtub and take your toys and the candles and the bubble bath and don't come out until you come. And so that's pretty much what she told me to do. And so I did that, and that kind of got me comfortable with my own body again. And I just really started exploring it and figuring out what I can make it do and how to make it do those things. I take Viagra so that I can get an erection, but I still have to work really hard to maintain it or it'll just go back away. And that took a lot of
That's the mental aspect of it?
and self-play. And so if the society is telling you your body is wrong and you're like, my body is wrong, then is it easy for you to do that? Like, you have all these little barriers, social barriers, mental barriers, your own sense of self, dysphoria,
I've said that a lot of times. If
all
you can't
these
make
things,
you come, can anyone
all
else?
these things. And the thing is, though, when you have a penis and you're taking estrogen, if you don't use it, you will lose it. Particularly if you're wanting to have, something happen after you've had surgery, if that's your plan. I'm not looking for surgery in the future, but you need to keep engaged with your parts so that after surgery, things are still working.
Right, got you.
Right?
Okay.
Because if you don't use it, you will lose it. It will atrophy. It will stop working. It will shrink. Then where you at? You have a smaller vagina because you didn't keep playing with it.
Wow.
Like you need to stay engaged and keep it up and going and learn so that after surgery you still have the wiring to get the shit to happen.
So that mind-body connection.
Right, and that's difficult when you've got dysphoria going on.
Okay. Okay.
Fortunately, it's not an issue I've had. So I can sit here with all this body confidence, all this sexual confidence, but the one thing that holds most trans people back, which is that disconnection between them self, their sense of self, and their body, dysphoria. It's not a problem for me because since I'm not trying to be a woman with a vagina, that's not how I see myself. I just want to have, like I said, tits and a dick and literally be kind of this blend of both. I have the body I want, so it's easy to be confident.
All right. Hey, guys, if you're just tuning in, you're listening to Nightlife 24/7. We are talking with Miss Lykania and Nikki Sadiq, and we're talking more so now today on trans sex. I'm hoping that you're gathering something from this to make you feel a little bit better about yourself, feel a little bit more empowered and moving forward and being sexual in the state that you are. And I really hope that anything that we convey to you, you understand. We are not your doctor. We're not your therapist. We're not your psychiatrist. We're telling you our personal experience and thoughts, and we hope that you can take something from this that makes your life a little bit better. Now, with that being said, I'm getting back to this. Now, Nikki.
Yes.
I remember at one point you telling me you had a specific fantasy with a trans.
I do. I am attracted to trans men and trans women. I, however, have not gotten, and it's personality. Like most of the trans men and trans women, besides Lykania, I met after. So I didn't even know they were trans until someone said it. But then that knocked my confidence down because I'm like, I don't know how to even approach this person to let them know that I'm interested in them, not only as a person, but as in a sexual partner. So I just never navigate that water. Like I have plenty of acquaintances and friends that are trans that I would love to get to know in that way. But I am am terrified of even approaching in that way.
Then let me ask you this. What is it about that gives you so much fear? Because I understand getting into that headspace to speak to them. Is it because you don't know the proper language, or you don't know the right way to approach, or is it just a fear of saying the unknown?
All of the above. I don't know the right way to approach or breach that subject.
Okay.
I don't know the lingo, like Anya said earlier, front hole. I didn't know that was a term.
Same here. Didn't know that.
So, like, I don't even know the terminology. Like, I'm comfortable if I know the terminology and the playing field, but I don't know the rules to the game. So I'm terrified to even attempt to say, "Hey, I want to play."
Okay.
So, and for me, it's not a fetish. I am pansexual. I am truly attracted to the person, their personality, how they navigate, how they carry themselves. So then it's like, I don't know how to approach this without being awkward, and because their friendship means so much to me,
right?
I don't want to ever do anything to offend,
right.
So I don't.
No, I get that. I'm gonna be. I'm. For those of you who know me, you know I'm a straight male. I love women, but I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you and say there's been no point that I have not seen a transgender person and saying, "Oh my God, they're freaking hot." I'm not gonna sit here and lie to you like that. And most of you guys would never admit it, and that's fine. That's your business. That's you. I don't really care how you deal with you and what you like and what other people perceive you as your own business. But there have been some transgender people in my lifetime. I really would have like, oh, hell yeah. I was like, but I didn't make a move because, as you said, I didn't want to offend by not knowing how to communicate with them. And I personally, now, you haven't said that there's a specific type of communication, but I felt like you read that book, Mars, Men Are From Mars and Women Are From Venus? You ever read that book?
Yes.
And
I mean, I'm familiar with the book, but I haven't read it.
Yeah, that's how I feel. We talk totally different languages. And I know, and I'm wrong, though, am I?
Well, I mean, if there's a trans woman that you're attracted to or a trans man that you're attracted to, step one is to treat them like a man or a woman.
Okay.
Like that's was what I'm doing, treating them differently than I would treat any other woman or any other man. Because if they're a trans man, then they're a man. And if they're a trans woman, they're a woman. Now, there's a whole spectrum of people that are not in those two ends of the spectrum who are trans.
Well, see, that's where my confusion comes in
who can
right there.
add some complicating layers. But just keeping it simple, treat the trans man like a man, treat the trans woman like a woman. All right? There will obviously maybe some things that don't fit the model of what we think of as a woman or what we think of as a man. Well, that's a cue that that's an area that I might need to address with this individual so I know how they want me to navigate that. All right? So you're getting their name right. You're getting their pronouns right because you're honoring the fact that they are who they are, which is a man or a woman. Right? Now, you recognize, they've come out to you, whatever, the trans thing is on the table. So that means that there might be some special care to navigating certain areas of the body that need to be paid attention to. All right? So that's communication. What do you want me to call it? And is there anything I can touch? But we should be navigating that stuff anyways. Like, if I was a cisgendered woman with a vagina and you were coming on to me, you wouldn't go, well, I don't need to ask her if I can touch her vagina. I mean, I guess unless you're number 45. Like, we shouldn't grab them by the pussy. We should ask. We should gain consent to touch.
No,
so this is already there. So if you're already navigating consent, it's just another layer of that. So I want to not just gain consent to what am I going to touch. I want to gain consent for how I'm going to address the body.
Never thought about that.
All right? So it's the same thing. If you're not already having this difficult conversation, then you might want to address how you're going about navigating your sexual encounters. So, and just listen and parrot back, mirror back, repeat back, reflect back what you're being told. If you're being told I call it a dick, then that means you can call it a dick. If you're being told that it's my little clit, my big clit, then honor that and call it a clit. Can I touch your clit? How would you like me to play with your clit? Can I explore your clit?
I like the fact that she's just all about the clit.
Talk. In terms of cultural humility, talk in a way that recognizes the fact you do not know what you're fucking talking about, and listen to them and respond back to them.
Active communication, not
right. And that's the thing. And if you make a mistake, be humble about it. Right? But we as trans folk, we have responsibility here to be upfront and honest about stuff too. Like, if there's terms you want to use, then you need to make that known. And if there's words you want to use, you need to make that known. Like, I'm very upfront with the fact that, look, I have a dick, and that's just the way it is. I call it a dick. I go, I don't want you to call it a clit. So I'm very much upfront.
Right.
Be like, it's a dick. I'll get people to ask me for a picture. Can I get a picture of your pussy? I'm like, I'm not a trans guy. What are you looking for? They'll be, they'll be like your girl pussy. I'm like, you mean my ass? Here's a picture of my ass.
I like that.
They'll be like, no. I'm like, do you mean my dick? Boop. They're like, oh yeah, that's very pretty. Thank you. Like but to me, it's not a turn on for it to be called that. So I want to, like, off the bat, I want to put on the table, this is how I navigate my body. My body parts are what they are. My tits are my tits, and my dick are my dick. If I had a different expectation, I would lay that down, because I believe you're responsible for your own orgasms. If the person needs to go faster or slower, or call it something or not call it something, or call you something or not call you something, you need to communicate that. My name, it means bitch, because I want you to call me a bitch when we're in bed. And I'm going to tell you that up front. And then I want you to
like to go,
right?
Say
thank you, sir, because my pronouns may be she, her, and hers, but you can call me sir, right? Be upfront with it, and because as you heard here, the cis person has all kinds of stuff that they don't know how to deal with. We can help them out, but. Again, I recognize that I'm coming from a place that is difficult for most of us to get to. And to all of you cis people out there listening to me, understand that where I'm coming from is a place that most of us has difficulty getting to. Like, I have the privilege of residing in the body that I want to reside in.
All right. So, we're down to the last few minutes of the show. I would love for you to give 1 or 2 tidbits of information for those who are looking to move forward sexually as a transgender person.
So here's where I'm going to get on my little soapbox. All right. So in the trans community, male to female, female to male, everything in between, the whole spectrum, the rates of HIV are through the roof. I think there's a lot of things at play there. We get forced into sex work because we can't find other jobs.
Okay.
We're so desperate to have someone who accepts us and loves us. We do things that otherwise we might not would do. That's the reality. For trans women of color, no, they constantly at risk of being murdered. They have like a 50% infection rate for HIV.
Wow.
So here's what I need for you all to know. One is, if you're infected with HIV, you become infected, you have a positive diagnosis, life goes on. You can reach what is referred to as an undetectable status, which means the virus load in your body is so low that they can't even detect its existence. There is no evidence of anyone who is an undetectable status transmitting the virus that comes from the CDC. Undetectable means untransmissible. You get there by taking your ART, your antiretroviral therapy, your pills. The pills are not like they were in the 80s. They're not like they were in the 90s. They work. They work well. So, if you're not being tested, you don't know if you're positive or negative. You need to be tested. You need to know your status. If you have a positive status, you need to be taking your meds as directed 100% of the time. Get to that undetectable status. Then you can have sex with confidence that you're not infecting someone else. And you can go about and live your life to its fullest extent. With that being said, if you have or ever do make a mistake, something happens, you're raped, a condom broke, you got drunk, you got a little bit more comfortable, whatever. The next morning you're like, I'm scared. You can go to your emergency room and you can get put on PEP, post-exposure prophylaxis, which is a pill that you're going to take. It may be a couple pills you're going to take for a month, and it'll prevent you from becoming infected. You have to take that pill. You have to start that regime within 72 hours of the incident. Any emergency room should be able to provide this for you. But we also have this thing called PrEP, pre-exposure prophylaxis. And whether you're trans, or you're straight, or you're gay, or whatever, whether you think your little plan for how to avoid HIV is perfect, or you recognize you're at risk, PrEP can do wonders for changing the dynamics of how you interact with people who are negative and positive. PrEP is a pill you take once a day that protects you from becoming infected. You're negative. You take your pill, same time every day as directed by the doctor. You have an exposure event. There is almost no chance of you becoming infected. It's like 99% effective, more effective than condoms. Like, you need to be aware of this stuff. I think trans women need to seriously consider, trans men, genderqueer people, people all over the spectrum need to seriously consider whether or not they're at risk and this is something they need to do. You just went through puberty, or you're just now exploring yourself. That means exploring your sexuality. That means that you need to be honest with yourself about your risk. Consider PrEP.
All right, guys, you heard it first from Lacania, so don't play around. As I always
play around with condoms.
Play around safely.
Play around with condoms and medication.
Safe.
And the last thing I want to say is, just because you're on PrEP or you're undetectable doesn't mean you don't need to worry about all the other things out there. HPV kills as well.
Okay. Remember, as I always say, be smart, be safe, but have fun. And guys, I'm going to tell you, as I always say on every show, and I'm going to preach it to one day everybody's saying it out loud themselves. We're put on this earth to help somebody. And if you can't do anything to help them, all I'm asking from you is that you don't do anything to harm them. With that being said, we're going to end the show, but just remember this. Miss Lacania will definitely be back. I know you guys are sitting here thinking, man, I got to get some more of that. I need to find out some more stuff. I promise you, she will be back. I want to thank Nikki and Miss Lacania for being on the show, and we'll talk to you later. We at Nightlife 24/7 appreciate you, our listener, who has an open mind and heart and are able to listen, learn, and discuss those issues that affect you and your partner. By discussing these issues, we hope to keep the lines of communication open to help inform you, our listener, and our community. It's on your mind, so let's talk about it on Nightlife 24/7.